Have you ever wondered why so many parents of young black men tell them to make sure to put their hands on the steering wheel if they ever get pulled over by law enforcement? Or why this simple act can mean the difference between a routine traffic stop and a life-altering decision? So today, I'm Sean J., the Commander, and I'm going to look at this topic from different angles, and I'm going to try and look at the data that's out there that would help maybe justify why the parents say this to their children. But I'm going to look at it from not only their viewpoint, but also law enforcement's viewpoint. Because quite frankly, there's two sides to this coin. It's not just one-sided. There's many elements to this, and I have the data to support what I'm talking about. And what I'll do is I'll put it all in the comments below, the links to it, and kind of give just an all-around encompassing view of this particular topic. So let's get started. So black men are stopped by police at a significantly higher rate than white drivers. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, 12.8% of black drivers were pulled over compared to 9.8% of white drivers. So there is kind of a imbalance to that. Not huge. We're talking what, a 3% difference. And really, overall, it doesn't even stop there. Black drivers are also more likely to be searched, arrested, and experience use of force during these traffic stops. That's something to be considered too. That's something to take under consideration as to why it is that these parents probably tell their children, make sure to put your hands on the steering wheel when you get pulled over by law enforcement. But these numbers aren't just statistics. They represent real people, real families, and unfortunately a real fear. Many black men describe feeling intense anxiety during traffic stops regardless of the reason. This fear just isn't about getting a ticket. It's about survival. And I know that sounds extreme, but this is what they're saying. High-profile cases like Philando Castile and Dante Wright, both were killed during a routine traffic stop, have really made this fear painfully accurate for millions of people. And that's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. You'll hear stories from black men who say, I keep my hands on the wheel, I speak calmly, and I avoid sudden movements because I want to go home alive. That's a very powerful statement. It's not just paranoia. It's learned response to a system that statistically puts them at greater risk. And I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm not saying that every single city, location, county, state has this problem, but overall, from a national viewpoint, this is what we're dealing with. Now, let's flip the perspective. As a police officer, and you may not know this, but I have 33 years under my belt, as it were, as a police officer. I was a police officer, and I went through all the ranks, and when I finally retired, I was a police commander. And then at a different agency, after retiring from the first one, I was a police captain. So I have administrative experience and I have road experience. And I also have undercover experience and investigations experience. But let's look at this perspective of a police officer. And I can tell you, traffic stops are one of the most unpredictable and dangerous parts of our job. Officers are trained to approach every single traffic stop with caution. If you remember the Timothy McVeigh incident where he blew up the federal building in Oklahoma, he was caught during a traffic stop, and the traffic stop was because he didn't have a tag on the car. The officer had no idea who he was getting ready to pull over. But that's the type of person he was pulling over. And there's an example of how a police officer just doing a routine traffic stop can stumble upon something. And what if Timothy McVeigh had said, oh man, they're on to me. I need to explode my vehicle if he had IEDs in the car. That officer would have had no idea. So officers take every traffic stop as a high risk traffic stop until proven otherwise. Police training protocol emphasizes that officers should always be able to see the driver's hands. If you could see the driver's hands and they're free of objects or hanging onto the steering wheel, you know they're not doing furtive movements under the seat. They're not grabbing something that could be dangerous, could be a weapon. So putting your hands on the steering wheel really kind of sends a message. I'm not a threat. I want this transaction between you and I to go smoothly. And it can immediately lower the tension and help the officer feel more at ease, which in turn can make the encounter safe and can make the driver feel more at ease. And the whole interaction can take on a new light, a positive light, an educational light, but not one that turns sour. But here's where things get complicated. Media coverage, news, social media, even reality TV has a huge impact on how both police and black men approach these stops. Academic studies show that the media reports police violence, especially against black men, to shape public perspectives and perceptions, and even it influences how officers will behave during interactions. When the news is filled with stories of police shootings, both officers and civilians come to traffic stops on edge. It just takes that one incident to be blown way out of proportion before all the evidence is obtained. And media throws it out there for everybody to see. And social media picks up on it and just takes snippets of that information and puts it out there. That's all that has to happen for officers now to have a different perspective on that type of incident. In this case, it's a traffic stop. And for the white officer to know, oh, this happened, and this driver, who happened to be a black male, did or did not do something, it changes everybody's perspective. One study found that watching crime reality shows and media coverage of police excessive force significantly predicted how people, especially African Americans, view the police. So it impacted their ability to view police officers in a certain way. It's not just the public. Officers themselves are influenced by these stories, sometimes subconsciously, which can affect their split-second decisions during a traffic stop. There's research out there that shows that the media coverage of events subconsciously train the officer or educate the officer in how to respond to certain events. And media coverage, social media coverage, all these things we all know, sometimes it's not all the information. So we're taking portions of that and we are sending that information out into the online world or the TV world for everyone to see. And what we're not realizing is we're programming, in this particular case, black men and white officers in how to interact with each other. This cycle, media coverage, public fear, officer anxiety, can make that routine traffic stop more dangerous for everybody involved. So what can we do? For black men, placing your hands on the steering wheel is a small but powerful act. It's a way to take control of the situation, signal cooperation, and reduce the risk of an escalation. For officers who see those hands, it can be a moment of relief. Oh, okay, I have cooperation here. But until we address the deeper issues on systematic bias, media influence, and community mistrust, these small actions can save lives. It's so simple. Now, I want to hear from you. What I'm saying, have you had experience in this? Are you a black man who's been pulled over by a white officer and you had a horrible experience? Or are you a black man who got pulled over by a white officer and you had a great experience? Let me hear it in the comments below. Let me hear what your information is. I'm going to put in the comments all the articles that support what I'm saying, that the media, social media, and all that has an influence in how people act during a traffic stop. For this case, we're talking about white officers and black drivers. And let's hear what you have to say about it. So to sum up, black men are disproportionately stopped and face greater risk during traffic stops, and I'll put the references below. Police officers are trained to look for hands as a matter of safety. That's just one of the things that we do. Again, if you could see the hands, you know nothing's in them that can harm you. Media coverage influences both the public and police perceptions, often increasing fear and tension during encounters like traffic stops. And I'll put the references below. Placing your hands on the steering wheel is a simple, effective way to keep everyone safe. And quite frankly, everybody can do it, not just black men being pulled over by white officers. Everybody could do it to put the officers at ease. And, if you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. I'm going to be taking on some hot topics that I can explain from not just a police perspective, but a civilian perspective the best I can. The Cops and Robbers podcast, that's what this is about. I'll break down the topics the best I can. Some will go quick, some will, like this one was only 10, 15 minutes. Some will go longer because they're going to have to get more in-depth in explanation. But anyhow, all I would like to do is for you guys to discuss the topic below and let me know what you think. I have a couple recordings. It's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on Facebook. It's going to be on LinkedIn. It's going to be on TikTok. I'm going to put it all out there to try and incorporate a good discussion on this topic. And the topic is really, does the media and social media influence law enforcement and civilians to the point that now we have to establish this communication flow or this communication concept of, hey, I'm not a threat. My hands are on the steering wheel. And truthfully, it goes towards not just, again, like I said, black drivers and white officers. It could go for everybody because police officers have no idea who they're pulling over at that time. They can run criminal checks and all that, but they don't know what has just happened. So put them at ease. Hands on the wheel. I'm not a threat. And it immediately brings down the tension and the anxiety. All right, guys, you have a great day. I'm Sean J., the commander, and this is my podcast, Cops and Robbers. I look forward to seeing you guys at more of my topics.